This is Deep Blue, where we get the true life stories of BYU athletes, coaches, and fans. Here's your host, Jarom Jordan.
On today's show, I talk with one of the best and perhaps the greatest BYU women's soccer player of all time. She's already a professional draft pick. She's in the top 10 in everything in BYU history. And she's the only player in Cougar history to be a two-time first-team All-American. And she's not done yet. Her final season as a senior is about to begin. Her name is Mikayla Colohan. Mikayla, what's up?
How are you?
I'm good. I wish I was as good at my job as you are at yours.
I think you're better than
I disagree, but thank you. You're very kind. Did you know you're the only player in BYU history to be a first-team All-American twice?
To be honest, I didn't know that. I mean, I know there's several All-Americans. I didn't know that I was the only two-time first-team All-American, though. So
that's big time.
Yeah, that's
what does that mean to you?
I mean, it means a lot just to see all the great players that have come through and played here, and growing up watching BYU women's soccer have this tradition and, you know, just a legacy. It's really cool to be here and kind of live up to that potential.
Okay, so let's rewind. You said you watched BYU growing up. Was BYU always the place you wanted to go? Did you want to go somewhere else as a kid?
So I would say I just was pretty casual about playing college soccer growing up.
Why was that?
I just played soccer for fun. In my younger years, obviously, when I got a little bit older, it started to get a lot more serious, and I kind of realized like this is what I want to do. I want to be my best and take it as serious as I can. But growing up, you know, I played every sport. I played soccer, I played basketball, I golfed. Those were my main three hobbies. And as I got a little bit older, I started paying attention to the bigger picture. My cousin played here when I was in junior high, so I started paying attention to what she was doing.
She was pretty good?
Yeah, she was really good. Yeah. She kind of set the precedent. Right? Yep, Chloe. And so that's kind of when I started realizing, like, it'd be sweet to play at BYU. Okay,
basketball, soccer, and golf. Mm-hmm. Were you the best at soccer, or were you pretty good at the other two?
Oh, that's a tough question. When I was young, like junior high, so I would say like maybe third grade to like ninth grade, I think basketball was my best sport.
What position did you play?
Point guard.
Oh, point guard.
Yeah.
Could you shoot too?
Yeah, I was a little bit of a shooter, a little bit.
Okay.
I don't think that's anywhere, like, not anymore. I haven't shot a ball in forever. But, yeah, I played basketball, and my older brother played basketball, so I grew up kind of playing with him, and that's, like, why I loved it so much. I'd go out in the backyard and just play with my siblings. But I don't know. At golf, I didn't take super seriously, but it was like always a fun thing to do, and so I started to get a little bit better at that. And then soccer, it was obviously a main focus, and I was on a really serious team, but it wasn't, I wouldn't say, like way over the rest of the other sports.
When did you realize you were good at soccer?
Oh, I would say I realized I was good at soccer probably 8th grade is kind of when I started to believe like I could be really good at soccer.
In club stuff? Because you're not quite to high school.
Yeah.
But in soccer, it feels like club's bigger than high school in terms of getting seen and influenced by college coaches? For
sure. In Utah especially.
And the scene here is really good.
Yeah.
I don't think people understand how good the soccer is here.
Oh, I know. And it's just getting better too. Yeah, it's really good. It's developing a lot. I think that, I don't know, do you know what ODP is?
Olympic Development Program?
Yeah,
right?
So that in club is when, at that age, when, like I said, 8th grade is kind of when things started getting serious, and that's when I started doing well, you know, better than I expected to or better than I had in the past. And that's when things kind of started to click, and I started to realize that I think I could make a run for it.
Was there a moment where something happened and you thought, wait, am I good at soccer? Like someone talked to you or someone told you something?
So when you ask that question, the first kind of thought I have that comes to mind is at ODP. So every year in ODP, you have your state, you play at your state level, and they have all the girls of your age group come try out, and you just kind of play against each other for the first little bit because there's so many people. And then they break it down into a state team, so you play as Utah, and you go compete against like just the western states. We're called Region 4 is the region Utah's in, and that's called ODP Championships. So we're out. I make that team, and we're out at...
Wait, you make that team. How many girls are on that team?
So there's like 18.
Out of the whole state?
Yeah.
Okay, so you get into that group, you're like, oh, okay, I made the 18-person squad. This is pretty good.
Yeah, and to be honest, I would hope, like, I expected to make that. That wasn't,
so at
like,
that
the
point,
first...
you felt like, I'm good enough.
Yeah, I was like,
in eighth grade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, I should be doing good.
Nice.
So we get out there, that's in Arizona, that tournament, and all these college coaches are there. And I'm like, I knew that was coming. We're kind of at the age where you start to get looked at and stuff. But I didn't really think much of it. I wasn't like, oh, I need to perform. You know, all these people are watching me. I just kind of showed up and played.
It's still sort of fun and less business-like.
For sure. And I feel really young still. You know, I'm not really expecting to be seriously looked at yet. And then I get told at the end of that tournament, well, two things happened actually. One, we played in a semifinal game against Northern California, and Coach Jen and Alicia at the time were watching that game.
The head coach of the BYU Cougars and an assistant coach.
Yes.
Yep.
And we finished.
Do you know who they are already?
So, yeah, it's easy to know who they are just because I hadn't, like, met them officially, but, I mean, they're just decked out in their BYU gear and they're just sitting where the college coaches sit. So I kind of knew who they were. And I actually, like, twisted my ankle or something that game. So after the game ends, I'm walking over to the trainer's tent to get, like, some ice and stuff. And I cross paths with Jen. And she's like, hey, Kayla, how are you? And I was like, whoa, she knows my name. Like, and
we're on Kayla, not Mikayla.
Yeah. It was like totally caught me off guard. I was like, oh, hey, Jen. Like, I'm good. How are you? And she can't really talk to me. It's just against the rules. And she's like, hey, give me a call sometime. Because she's not allowed to call me. And I'm like, oh, dang. So that happened. And that was kind of like a big moment for me. And then we finished the tournament and I'm in the airport with my coach of that team. And he pulls me aside. He said, hey, come talk to me for a minute. So I go sit next to him in the airport, and he's like, hey, I just wanted to tell you something. The national coach so they have youth national teams, U.S. youth national teams, and they have scouts that get sent to these tournaments. And he goes, the national team scout that was here watching you told me that you're the best player at this tournament. And I was like, whoa. Like, I had never heard anything like that. At this point, I hadn't been to any national camps or anything. He's like, I just want you to know, like, the level that you're playing at and what you're capable of. And they expect to invite you to a camp soon. So just, like, hold your head high and just keep working for that. And he kind of downplayed it, like, but he wanted to tell me. And I was like, wow, that must be a big deal. And so I'd say that was kind of the moment that I kind of realized that I had potential in the sport of soccer.
That's incredible. So do you go on to play on the youth national teams at some point?
Yeah, so I think it was it's hard to remember timing, but I think it was the year after that I went to my first national camp.
And how many have you been to since?
So I went to that one, and then I didn't go. I got invited to, because they have age groups, so once they have U17, and I played in that one, and then I got too old for that. And the next camp is U23. And I got invited to U23 camp, and then COVID hit, and so they canceled it. And they actually haven't had any events since COVID. So I've only been to that one actual national camp. I've been to other, like, small things, but not full-blown camps. And so it's kind of a bummer that one got canceled because I was really excited, but hopefully they'll pick back up.
Yes, especially based on how you played last year, which we will get to in a moment. Okay, what's your family dynamic like? You have siblings? How many?
Yeah. So I have 3 siblings. I'm the third child. So I have an older brother. His name's Jordan. He's married. He has 2 kids and a third on the way. So family's kind of growing quickly. So I'm an aunt, which is really fun. Have a niece and nephew, and that's kind of new and exciting. I have a sister. Her name's Tyra. She's also married. So I have 2 sister-in-law and a brother-in-law as well, obviously. And then there's me and then a little brother. His name's Jake.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
What are your parents like, and are you like one of them? Are they athletic? Did they like soccer?
Yeah, so very athletic. They both went to Weber State. That's where they met.
Because you're a Davis County girl.
Yep, yeah, exactly. My mom was actually a cheerleader, so different than me, but very talented and has that side of things. My dad, he played pretty much every sport. He played baseball at a JUCO before his mission, just a little bit. So
Which
that
JUCO?
was his. It was like I should know this better. Eastern Utah? Is that? It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, College of Eastern Utah.
College of Eastern Utah. Yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Now it's USU Eastern.
Okay, I was going to say, I know it changed, but that's what it was.
Yep.
So yeah, he played there for a year, but he also played football and basketball in high school, just kind of an all-around athlete. He's a big golfer now, though, or he always has been, but that's kind of what he still does. And
the older you get, there's a good chance that it comes in at some point.
Yeah, exactly. So he's who kind of got me into golf and keeps me liking it and playing with me. So
that's awesome. Yeah. So what are some of the attributes that your family sort of gave you that you still carry on and off the field?
Yeah, I was going to say, would you say athletically or just as a person?
Oh.
So I would say, as far as like on the field stuff, like so competitive. Like
your family's competitive.
Yeah.
Where does that manifest itself in home life?
Like everywhere, every setting, for good and for bad. Especially like my dad and brothers. Like we have a pool in our backyard. We'll play who knows what pool basketball, and it will get heated. Someone will end up leaving because they're just ticked off and don't want to be there anymore. But we go golfing actually as a lot as a family too, and we always are like trying to throw out different bets and stuff to keep it competitive. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
On the field, you're interesting because I can see that you are just want to win so bad. Like I can see it right in your body language. Yet, I mean, you get tackled and fouled a lot. Like there's a Shaq element to you where it's like, how do we call this? We can't call every touch, right? Yeah. It feels like sometimes.
Yeah.
How do you feel like you're officiated? Because I can tell you get frustrated, but you don't actually let that manifest itself in a way where you're not like tackling someone else aggressively crazy. You're like, no, I got to be composed in the middle of the park. I got to control things here.
Yeah.
Is that an accurate assessment?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would hope that I don't ever let it overtake my emotions too much.
I don't know how you don't, honestly. Yeah. Like if I got tackled hard a couple times, I would get mad.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's hard not to, and sometimes it causes me to react. But I try for the most part just to kind of, not let that be my focus of anything. If I draw a foul, great. If I get taken down, like I'm helping the team in one way or another. If a team's targeting me or kind of keying in on me, then that means one of my teammates is going to be more open. And so I try to just kind of keep a balanced mindset, not let that get to my head because that might be a lot of, team's game plan to kind of get to me, be physical with me, try to take me out of the game. So, I mean, my number one objective is to not let them do that to me.
Okay, how do you end up at BYU? You mentioned that you watch the games. Your cousin comes here, and she's a really successful player as well. Mm-hmm. Was it obvious that BYU was going to be the pick? Who finishes second?
Yeah.
In the running for Mikayla Colohan?
Yeah, so this is kind of a funny story. I'm sure several people have heard it, but I got recruited pretty early. Like I said, 8th grade is when I started getting looked at and talked to, and I'm from Utah, lived here my whole life, and I kind of knew that I wanted to stay in Utah. The idea of moving far to play soccer wasn't ever super enticing to me for whatever reason. So I start getting recruited, start talking to a few different schools, going on visits, stuff like that. And it pretty much came down to Utah or BYU. And they both are great programs, best college soccer teams in the state. So it was pretty easy to get down to those two. Once I got to that point, that's when it got hard. And I had a lot of friends growing up that I played with that actually went to Utah. I had a lot that were coming to BYU as well, but for me, BYU was a little bit farther from home, so I knew people. I was closer to people at Utah, and so that was like a little bit of a draw to Utah. But something about BYU always kind of was like desirable, and just the picture, the image that BYU carries, I really liked. And so I get to the decision to come to BYU. I verbally commit in my beginning of my sophomore year.
Oh, it's so early for
so early.
The older I get, the more I'm like, I understand when people do it. It's just such a big decision at a young age.
I know.
And you
looking
can change
back,
your mind if you want, right?
Yeah, but it's like looking back, I'm like, I didn't know what I wanted. I had no idea what I was doing.
That's what at every age.
Yeah.
I even think like 8-year-olds getting baptized, 19-year-olds going on missions. Like it's big decisions,
it's
right?
Crazy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. At that time, I actually remember joking with my friends, like, I'm choosing BYU because I like the color blue.
Hey, whatever it took to get you, right?
Yeah. Like, that's the thought process I was at that time. It's just crazy how things change. But anyway, so I was committed. You don't sign till you're senior year, though.
Like November of your senior year, typically,
I think,
right?
Yeah, I think it was February, I think.
Okay.
I think they've changed it now, but I believe I signed in the winter.
So you've played your fall high school season.
Yeah.
Or is it spring in Utah? Remind me.
No, it's fall.
It's fall.
I
okay.
just had finished my senior
season. You finished your senior year.
Yeah.
Now you got to decide.
Yep.
You pick BYU.
Yep. So actually, before I sign is when I started having all these second thoughts. So it's like the fall of my senior year, right before I'm getting ready to sign, and I have my official visit coming up because that's when you can finally go on official visit. And Utah's contacting me a lot, and I'm like, shoot, I don't know what I want to do. I had a lot of friends, like I said, that were a year older than me at Utah, so they had just finished their first year at Utah. So I was getting their kind of thoughts on it. And
the Pac-12 in soccer is legit.
For sure.
It really is.
For sure.
WCC is really, really good too. 3 or 4 teams like every year.
Yeah.
But the Pac-12 is getting in like 9.
Yeah, and the Pac-12 carries this big reputation, right?
Yes. I can see where that's alluring.
Yeah. And I always thought that I wanted to come to BYU, but I definitely had like a big decision, and I was like as close as I could be to going to Utah without actually doing it. I go on my official visit there. I loved it. I had a ton of fun, and then it was before my official visit at BYU. So I'm like, I think I'm going to go to Utah. And I actually called Jen, and I'm like, hey, I just want to be completely transparent with you because I didn't want to drop a bomb on her, hey, I'm decommitting. I was like, I'm just kind of reconsidering my original decision. I went on a visit to Utah, and now I'm kind of thinking things through and evaluating what's going to be best for my future. And she was awesome about it. I mean, Jen, I've had a few different things like this come up in my career, but she's the most understanding, helpful resource you could have. So,
what was her reaction to that?
She was like, her initial reaction was like, no way, like, don't go to Utah, like, kind of thing.
She's got to be disappointed.
Yeah, a little disappointed, but she was like, you know what, we want what's best for you. If you feel like you're going to be better and, happier and more successful if you go to Utah, then we completely support you, and I don't want to put any unneeded pressure on you. But no, with that said, like, how bad I want you here, and I want you to keep talking to me and, like, kind of, give us the chance at least. So she said...
That's a pretty good answer.
Yeah, for sure. And she actually said to me, your official visit's in like 2 weeks, just to at least come here. Because in my head, I'm like, I don't even want to go on the official visit because I don't want to give off the wrong idea, like I'm coming if I'm not. And she's like, that's okay. Like, we're not worried about that. Just come, give it a chance. So I'm like, okay. So I come and experience it here. And from that point forward, no questions asked. It was like game changer.
What was?
Coming here. And
what about that visit sort of made you feel that way?
To be honest, I think it's one of those things it's like I can't really put into words. It was like a maybe spiritual experience in a way, and just something that kind of I felt like I was really with myself and like in tune with my own thoughts, and was able to realize like this is where I'm supposed to be, kind of. And like for whatever reason, it just felt right. And on top of that, I loved the team. I loved the coaching staff. I loved, just everything about BYU and the excitement and the reputation that the program has here is kind of what ultimately had me more confident in coming. So from that point forward, I told Jen, I'm like, yep, my decision's made. I'm coming. See you in a few months.
Thinking, I told you.
I
told you. Just give us a shot.
And she'll still tell you that to this day. She'll still be like, remember when you almost left us? Like, aren't you glad you didn't leave?
Yep. So, that's awesome. Yep. Yeah, there's this place is special, right? And there are a lot of places that could totally work for a lot of people.
For sure.
But I think I speak on behalf of Cougar Nation when I say thanks for coming to BYU.
Of course. I'm happy I'm here.
Okay, so the number 8. Is this a number you had as a kid? Is this a number that you wanted when you got to BYU? Was it taken when you showed up?
So 8 wasn't. My number growing up was 21. I don't know. I mean, I know my grandpa had number 21. It's kind of family number. And so I just always wore it. It wasn't anything crazy. But Maddie Sidaway was 21 when I got here. And so they're like, here's your number options. Take your pick.
How does that work in college, by the way? In the NBA or NFL, a guy, if he really wants it, will pay the other guy off.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
How does it work in college? Like, if you really want that number, what do you do?
We didn't get the chance.
It's not even an option?
Yeah, not an option.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just these are your options, and there's like 10 options. So you're like all right.
Okay.
Yeah. But 8 was one of those options. And so my brother, 8 is also kind of a family number. But 8, I don't know if you know this, but in soccer, positions are numbers. So like the 10 is
I
the
hear about
mid.
the 9 and the false 9.
Yeah, yep, exactly.
In rugby, they are too. Like literally, maybe that's the same idea.
Yeah, same idea. It's not mandatory.
Yeah.
But
I didn't know it was all of them.
Yeah. So every position has a number. Like I said, the 10 is the most common because attacking midfielder is referred to as the 10, like common knowledge. But all the other positions have a number as well. And 8 is like, so the holding mid is a 6, the attacking mid's the 10, the 8 is like the in-between there. And a lot of times growing up, I actually played more of like the 8 rather than the 10. And so
you're more of a
8,
10 now, right?
Yeah, I'm the 10 now.
Yeah.
Which, thank goodness, I like the 10 the best. But it was fitting for that reason, and like I said, it was kind of a family number. It was always like my second number to 21, so it fit well when that one was available.
That's awesome. Yeah, I didn't realize there were those other numbers. I'm a huge soccer fan. I had no clue.
Yeah.
It's funny the things you learn. Even I hadn't even actually heard the phrase a brace for 2 goals until 2019. Spencer on BYU Sports Nation said, Lise Flake with a brace versus Santa Clara, whatever. And I was like, she wore a brace? What happened to her knee? No, literally. I look like an idiot. And I'm like a huge soccer fan.
Yeah.
And what an idiot.
That means more people need to start getting some braces then.
I felt stupid. Exactly.
Yeah.
More multi-goals.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so let's rewind back to when you really, really broke out. So 2019, what a magical year for BYU women's soccer.
Yeah.
You guys are undefeated until the last game. Like, you have a tie or 2 in there, but you get to the Elite 8, like arguably the greatest team in BYU history. First team All-American for you, 16 goals, 7 assists. You're ranked 5th in Top Drawer Soccer's top 100 players list at the end of the year. What was that season like for as a team and individually?
Yeah, that team, like you said, breakout year, that was just a special year for me and for the team. It was up to that point, by far, like, that was like, wow, that was a fun year for so many different reasons, and it was my favorite year, and just to see what we accomplished was really special. I think that we kind of, every year that I had been here up to that point, we talked about, like, our potential and what we were capable of, and I felt like that year it finally came together, and on the field we executed, but off the field it was like special. It was just like you knew we were going to be good. Just the vibe and the culture that we had, it was really fun to be a part of. It
was so fun to watch. Like every game it was like, okay, how much is BYU going to win by?
Yeah.
How many goals are you going to put? Like it was so entertaining.
Yeah.
And you guys had there was a massive amount of minutes. You didn't even give up a goal, for a long time, defensively, offensively. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, when you finish 5th in the top 100 at the end of the year, as an individual, are you surprised by that? Were you hoping for something like that? Because that's big time. To finish 5th in the top 100 list?
Yeah, so I definitely wasn't expecting it. Sometimes when those type of awards come out, like, you don't even really think about it because in the season and stuff, like, that's the last thing I'm thinking about. It's, for me, and, like, I'm sure for my whole team and most people, it's usually team first, Like, I want to see the team succeed more than I ever want to be successful myself. And going to the Elite Eight or making a long run in the tournament is way more rewarding and fun than an individual award if you, like, don't even go to the tournament,
Yeah.
So I'm not even thinking of stuff like that. Obviously, the common awards, like All-American or stuff like that, I know about. And
Herman Trophy, which is like the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, those are goals that I have and things that I'm working towards. But as far as, like, being ranked 5th at that time in the country, that's not something I really consciously think about. But I remember when that came out, I kind of looked at, like, the other girls that were around me or ahead of me, and it's like, yeah, that's some good company to be a part of. Like, I was just super happy to kind of be listed with those girls because they're who are going to play at the top level. They're my competition and who I need to kind of hold myself to play at the highest level. So it was a really fun thing.
At what point, maybe it was during the season or after the season, do you think, oh, like, I could be drafted, I could play in the NWSL or other leagues at some point? Because once you get 5th in that, it's like, oh, you're going to be a draft pick.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of when like I always think about getting drafted or playing after college and stuff, but that's when it gets real, like you said, and I kind of realized like, all right, I need to take this serious if I want it because I have the opportunity.
So you end up getting drafted, and this draft is unique because they draft you before or is it during the 2020 season? Remind me.
It was in January 2020.
It's right before you play what would have been, fall of 2020 season, but it's in early 2021, earlier this year, right?
Yeah, I spoke wrong. It's January of 2021.
Yes, earlier this year.
Yeah, yep.
You still have the delayed season's about to begin, and at some point in this process, when was this? You're thinking, no, I'm playing fall 2021 as well. Mm-hmm. You get picked 14th by the Orlando Pride. Fantastic accomplishment. What's it like? Because you can leave immediately. You can stay and play the spring. You could leave after spring and play and not play the fall. You decide you're going to play spring and fall and then go in a couple months to the team. This is a big decision for you.
Yeah, this was crazy. I don't know if you know about how it all went down, but our season gets canceled.
So you think it's over?
I think...
Like your BYU career?
No, because it didn't take that long for them to say you'll get an extra year.
Gotcha.
And right when they said that, I'm like, yeah, I'm not leaving.
This is
I didn't
a year
even get my
ago in
senior
August
year.
or something, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm like, I didn't even get my senior year. I'm not going to leave, and I'll enter the draft when that time comes. I want to enjoy.
You're set on this.
Yeah. Well, then, and that's in August, like you said. Then in about late December, and the draft happened the second week of January. Late December, they start saying, well, if you've played 3 years of college, you are eligible for the draft.
Which is declare or not.
Yes.
Right?
And that's what was crazy is because usually you have to enter the draft. You have to say, I'm ready, I'm entering the draft. You have an agent if you want or whatever, and you go through that process. Well, I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing that. I'm not ready. I don't want to do that. Well,
they can draft you against your will if you
want. Yeah. And then they come out, they change all the rules. Jen comes and tells me. I have different agents calling me and talking to me about it. And I'm like, well, that kind of sucks, because I'm not going to come. Even though I knew I was probably going to get drafted, I didn't actually enter my name. So it kind of takes away leverage from me because now, and it's all hearsay. Who knows what actually would have happened, but I'm expected to be a top 5 draft pick.
So 14's low.
Yes.
Gotcha.
So... But then because I say, well, I'm not coming for a whole nother year, teams can get away with drafting me later because they're not going to get me for a whole year. So I'm not as much of a priority because they need to use draft picks that they'll get immediately, right?
Yes,
Does that make
we
sense?
know you're coming.
Yeah. And a bunch of other girls came out and said, yeah, I'm ready. I'm foregoing my senior year.
Gotcha.
Or I'm just playing the spring and we'll join you in the summer.
Yes. But had you already decided I'm doing spring and fall?
Yes. And actually several GMs and stuff called me asking me that question. And I was like, I was almost hoping I wouldn't get drafted because, like I said, it took my leverage away. If I wait till the next year, then I get drafted higher.
Is there a signing bonus attached to that?
Or
is it just the prestige of being top 5?
It's more the prestige because the NWSL doesn't have much of that. Mm-hmm. But within contracts, they do add... Depending on where you go, there will be something added depending on where you're picked. So
14 is significantly lower than you were hoping. Gotcha.
So that kind of threw me off a little bit, but when it's all said and done, I'm happy. Orlando picks me. They knew I wasn't coming. They actually called Jen the night before and said we think if she's still around. There was a lot of talk if they would still draft me or if another team would pick me before. We have the 14th pick. That was their second pick. They said, if she's still around, we want to take her. Is she for sure not coming till the next year? And Jen said, yeah, she's not coming. She told me she wants to stay.
So they can't contact you directly? They have to go through your coach, or that's just their preference?
That's just their preference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
I'm interested why they didn't just talk to you.
The GM did talk to me earlier on, but I think that they, out of respect a little bit, and they deep down knew that I wasn't coming, so they didn't really want to put pressure on me, but wanted to clarify with Jen before.
Gotcha.
So it was nice of them. But so Jen tells them, anyways, they pick me anyways. And, I mean, Orlando's great. Right when I heard that, I was like, I don't care. I'm happy that it was Orlando because there's a lot of places that I would prefer not to go. And they have Alex Morgan, Sydney LaRue, Ashlyn Harris, Allie Krieger. They have a lot of big names, and they have a big market there. So it was a great fit. Plus, like, I love Florida. So,
the beach,
yeah.
Disney World.
Yeah, exactly.
The whole
They
deal,
got it all. So,
yeah.
And it's one of the better set up teams in the NWSL. So I was like, this is awesome. I'm excited. But it was always kind of weird because it's a year out, you know?
Yeah.
Usually when you get drafted, you're like, all right, I'm moving next week or whatever.
Yeah,
like,
it goes fast.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the anti-fast.
Yeah, but I'm like, oh, I got a while. Like, it's cool, but this is on hold because I'm at BYU right now, kind of thing. So, yeah, and I can't remember where the rest of the story was going, but that's how the draft part went down, at least.
Yeah. So you've always had this in the back of your mind. You're halfway to this point. So in January, you'll go join them?
Yeah.
Or what's the schedule?
I guess,
Where
that's what I was.
School?
Yeah.
Will you leave it? So people don't think about this logistically, but a lot of the professional athletes that didn't finish in like 4 years, which, by the way, finishing in 4 years means you're taking 15 credits per semester if you never go spring summer. Mm-hmm. That's hard.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't I took 9 semesters. Like, I need that extra semester. Yeah. I was a academic walk-on. So, it takes a minute, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes that weighs into people's decisions of how quickly do I do this. Jim McMahon takes 30 years to graduate, whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, it takes time. What's your situation?
So I graduated in April.
You already did?
Yep.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Exercise and wellness, and I minored in business.
That's awesome.
So, yeah.
So now you're on Scully.
Yeah.
And can take, 1 credit if you want. Or something,
exactly.
Right?
Yep. Now it's
public
chill.
speaking or something.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
Exactly. But I have like this last semester, and I'm like, well, my focus is purely soccer. I'm done with school, so I do have to take like a couple of classes to be
What are you taking?
enrolled. I haven't actually signed up for my classes yet. It's so different now. Like, usually I sign up in May or June, but because I'm graduated, it's like I'll just go in whatever.
You're like golf and ballroom dance.
Golf is one of the classes I'm trying to get into.
Do it.
Yeah.
My last semester, I took intermediate basketball and ballroom dance.
That's so funny.
And it was like the funnest semester.
Yeah,
ever.
I bet.
It was great. I did nothing.
Yeah.
That was the idea.
I know. I'm excited to just focus on soccer. So.
Yeah. Okay, so this is your last season. And you've had such a legacy here. The reason I said I think you might be the best player in program history is because, one, what you've done on the field and the All-Americans. But Jen Rockwood last year, when I was prepping to call one of the games, said, because I said, how good is Mikayla? Like, give me – Jen Rockwood, for those who don't know, she's the only coach BYU's ever had, 95 to now. Like, she knows, right?
Yeah.
And she said, oh, she's the best player we've ever had. And I was like, tell me more, And she described your game and how you control everything on the field and your skill level with the ball at your feet and your vision and your finishing ability and all this stuff. Like, how would you summarize your career at BYU and kind of what BYU's done for you and what it's meant to you to be able to be so successful at this level and get drafted and people know you and, like, soccer is like a massive part of your life? Yeah.
First, Jen's incredible. She always just makes me sound even better than I am, I think. But it's just crazy to see what she's done with the program. So just to play for BYU and play at such an amazing university is awesome with a great coaching staff. And they've definitely helped me get to where I am because I think I came in as a good player and had a lot of expectations, but they've shaped my game in like a way that I wouldn't have expected and just kind of taken me over a little bit and transformed me in the way I play. So just my experience at BYU, like whenever somebody asks me, I'm like, I can't speak highly enough about it because in all ways it's been everything I've dreamed of. Like soccer, outside of soccer, and just my development overall. I feel like it's helped me become the player I want to be and become the person I want to be. And I feel like I'm still learning a ton, and that's why I'm not in a rush to get out of here. But it's been amazing to be a part of, and each year and every single day I'm just excited to step back on the field with my teammates and keep progressing and hopefully now that I'm almost on my way out, just inspiring people that are under me and still at the beginning of their careers because I want them to have just as awesome of an experience as I have and hopefully fill big shoes that have played here and kind of follow trend and keep the program in the positive direction.
It's amazing that it keeps going that way because I always think, well, how can you keep doing it. Like, it's so hard, right? We saw the Elite Eight of 2003 and then 2012 and then boom, 2019 doesn't lose a game until you have to play at Stanford, which is a tough draw, right? At South Field would have been fun, but yeah, it is what it is. Okay, and I love that you have the attitude of like, hey, this place is special. Why would I be in a rush to leave? Like, unless you're Zach Wilson with the $23.5 million signing bonus, like, I get that, right?
Yeah,
but
that
like,
might change things.
but like, yeah, for me personally, I got a job at BYUtv as a student, and I was like, this is incredible. Like, this exists, you know?
Yeah.
And I haven't left since.
Yeah.
And there are some who are like, why don't you leave? I'm like, I don't think you understand how cool this place is. Like,
Yeah.
Like, what am I going to go do? Call, minor league baseball by myself in a booth in the middle of nowhere? I'm not the player.
Yeah.
I'm the broadcaster. Like,
Yeah.
this is a special place. And
sure.
it's so fun to, like, tell stories like yours and others and form relations. It's just a great place. So I love that you kind of understand, like, hey, that'll be there.
Yeah.
It's going to be there in a couple months. You'll get there to be amazing, but you won't feel like, I missed something.
Yeah.
And we've seen men's basketball players come back. Jolie Childs for a senior, Alex Porcello, and so on. They get it. Not everyone feels the same way, but I love that you feel the same way about BYU.
Yeah, and I was actually going to tell you in the summer, so the NWSL is in the middle of their season right now. They go from like April-ish to October, November. And in our time off in the summer here, I went out to Orlando and trained with them. And because I'm allowed to, because I'm drafted, but like there's some rules. I'm not allowed to like play in a game with them, but I can train with them. And after I was out there, I kind of was faced with this decision again, even though I had already made my decision and the coaches there knew that and stuff. The GM pulls me in at the end and he's like, we really want you. Like, is there any way? Of course he
did. It's like he practices like, we need you now.
Yeah. And he's like, is there anything, like, can we do anything for you to get you to come now? Is like, I don't want to. He was really good about it too. He's like,
you're like, there's
I don't want to pressure
price.
you. Yeah, exactly. He was actually really good about that. And they offered me this contract now, and they're like, anyways, they were very good about it, but had a little bit of pressure on me too. And so then I come back here and I'm talking to Jen about it again. And I'm like, just so you know, like, I'm kind of reconsidering. Like, I really want to be at BYU, but this decision also makes sense in a lot of ways, you know, like it's kind of a good time and opportunity for me to go there now. And anyways, after working through that, I once again come back to what we just talked about, which is I'm just not in a rush to get out of here. You know, the NWSL is great and it will be exciting when that time comes, but I don't think I'm in a hurry to get there because of how great it is at BYU. And I know it's a time in my life I'll never get back. So I'm just trying to enjoy it while I got it.
Was that a tough decision? Because again, like you said, hey, there's two great options here. I got to pick what the best one is.
Yeah, it was really tough. And
Jen probably claims this one too.
Yeah. She does.
2-0.
I was gonna say, you could go talk to her. She'd say the same thing again. She's like, I just have to say it, and Kayla will stay. But no, it was a really hard decision. And once again, I was really close to leaving. Like before I came to BYU, really close to going to Utah. I was really close to going to Orlando just because there were a lot of good opportunities there and things that made sense. And like I said, the timing is good for a lot of different reasons for the situation their team's in right now. And it was hard. I had to talk to a lot of people, talk to my family, and think about what would be best for my future. But I'm really happy with my decision, and I don't think it's ever a bad choice to stay at BYU. So
what was it like practicing with Alex Morgan and company?
It was amazing.
Was she there?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Amazing. It's a completely different environment, completely different level. I mean, it's like every level you play at, you kind of feel those same things before you adjust, which is just
some butterflies and anxiousness.
Yeah, and like the speed of play is that much faster. Their technical ability is all sharpened up a little bit. It's just every single part of the game is like a step up. And like going from high school to college, it's like every player on your college team was the best in their high school. Well, now going from college to the pros, every team on the pros is the best at their college. So you kind of become, I don't know if humbled is a good word to use. Like all these players that I'm with in Orlando were me in college, are the best team best player from their college. And especially, I mean, every NWSL team's probably like that, but especially the Pride, because you have the big names. You have Alex Morgan, who everybody knows.
Everybody knows Alex Morgan.
Yep,
she's incredible.
Yeah, everybody knows her, and she's one of the best players to ever play. So,
and multiple national team players, as you mentioned.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So it's just like, I mean, the first day I'm there, I'm just like looking around, just taking it all in. I'm like, wow.
Don't ask for a picture. Don't ask for an autograph.
So funny because right before I went, Jen was like, get a picture with Marta. Because do you know who Marta is?
Marta?
Yeah.
The greatest Brazilian female soccer player of all time?
Arguably the best female soccer player.
Or ever.
Yeah.
Marta, as they probably call her.
Yeah.
Yep. I went to Brazil on my mission.
Oh, cool. Yeah. She's on the team too. Jen's like,
dude,
get a
Marta
picture with her.
and Alex Morgan and Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney LaRue. Yeah.
LaRue, yeah. She's tatted up and awesome. Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. So there's like big time names, and I'm just like, I show up to practice, and
you're like, this isn't Southfield.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wow, this is cool. There's like, I'm just looking around, like my locker's like 3 down from Alex Morgan. I'm like, this is just something to enjoy, just the experience and take it in. So it was really cool, and it was awesome, and if anything, it just made me more excited to get to that point, because for a lot of different reasons, moving to Orlando and going pro is exciting and fun, but like there's hard things that come with it. So I think it was good for me to go out there and just get a feel for what it will be like and know like what's to come in the next few months.
Were any of the players trying to influence you to come too? Yeah.
So I think also like the GM, because of the situation their team's in, and what was big about it is that it's an Olympic
like an attacking mid?
Well, Marta plays attacking mid, so not really, but but they had a few injuries in the midfield for one, and it's an Olympic year, which means they're gone.
Yes.
Yeah, and so that's why the timing was really kind of good at that time. But it will be great when I do go there, and a lot of those girls are kind of getting towards the end of their career. So,
right.
Yeah.
Soccer's funny that way. Like if you're early 30s, you're old.
Yeah, I know.
Because you're supposed to like be playing. If you're like legit, you're like at 17 playing professionally or whatever.
Yeah, especially
it's
overseas.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the U.S. system, for those who don't know, is very different than internationally, where you're at an academy, you're going to like high school at Chelsea or whatever, which is the team I support. Like you're
Chelsea
living there,
fan,
they
huh?
sign. Yeah, you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, do you have a favorite team?
To be honest, I just enjoy watching soccer.
Yeah.
I don't have I'm not dead set on a team, but from the time I was little and got into soccer, I've always enjoyed watching Barcelona the most, just because like Messi's like
the GOAT.
Yeah, I can't even go there with that argument, because I think Messi's so much better than his competition, and I would do anything to like shape my game to be like his. So I've loved watching Barcelona.
Yeah, that left foot is like the greatest in history.
He's insane.
In any left foot, anything.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's incredible. That's awesome. Yeah, like how much soccer do you watch casually? Is that the sport you watch the most? Because some athletes want to disconnect from their sport, but others can't get enough.
Yeah, I mean, this might be the wrong answer, but I don't watch a ton of soccer compared to other sports. Like I watch the NBA, and
I know you watch a lot of minor league baseball. I know that.
Minor league baseball every single day, so that one probably takes the cake now. But I always enjoyed watching football and basketball the most, probably.
Yeah. So. Do you have a football and basketball team that you support?
Well, I love the Jazz, so that's for sure my basketball team. And football team, I like the Saints, but...
You like the Saints?
Yeah.
Why do you like the Saints?
I always
is it Taysom Hill, or is it somebody else?
I wouldn't say it. I mean, I love Taysom Hill. I love watching him now. I don't think it started with Taysom Hill. I really like that receiver, Michael Thomas. But
oh, yeah, he's legit.
He's and I always like Drew Brees. But
who doesn't like Drew Brees?
Yeah,
you know what
it's
I mean?
just like...
He's so likable.
Yeah, so... But I like watching any NFL games. So.
Yeah. Are there individual players that you've sort of patterned your game after or sampled from?
So...
Men or women?
Like I said, well, growing up, so I played for La Roca my club days, and La Roca they're big, so the founder of the club is Chilean, and they have like a bunch of Chilean coaches, so they get this kind of international style, and Chilean style, and they always told me, like, they call them tiki-taka videos on YouTube. And that's the style of play they try to play. Yeah, and it's Barcelona. Like, that's Barcelona's style. It's just like knock the ball around, small passes, not direct and athletic, but like beat them with moving the ball. And so that's where my love for Barcelona kind of came, and Messi and just his style of play and like his vision, the way he sees it. He's for sure who I've tried to like mimic. But with that said, I think there's a huge difference between the men's side and the women's side of the game. So I would say I more closely try to imitate girls that I've watched growing up, and just players on the national team, the U.S. youth national team or U.S. national team.
Like who?
And I would say Carly Lloyd is probably my favorite.
She's incredible.
She's crazy good. Yep.
In the Olympics, the U.S. unfortunately lost a semifinal to Canada, which is disappointing. But after the game, Carly Lloyd was running wind sprints on the field. She's just a leader.
Doesn't that just goes to show the type of person and player she is?
Yeah. No, she's so mature. And then, of course, like her goal from like midfield.
Yeah.
A couple World Cups ago.
Yeah, and she scored a hat trick in that game, I think. Yeah.
Oh, that was massive destruction.
Yeah.
My wife went upstairs. I was like, we scored 2 more! 5 minutes later.
Carly Lloyd, yeah.
No, that was incredible. Anybody else that has influenced you?
I mean, yeah, all of them. But to be honest, like I try to key in on players that play my similar position and just watch how they play. And Carly Lloyd she's nearing the end of her career now too, but she was kind of my like generation. Like when I started watching and getting into soccer, she was like in her prime.
Yeah.
And she was definitely who I focused in on the most, and her style of play. She just knows the game really well, and I think that women in general, girls, that's what lacks the most is the IQ of the game, and Carly Lloyd definitely has that. So she was fun for me to watch.
Okay, so 2020 isn't in the fall. It's in the winter of 2021, that season. Everyone's just called it Euro 2020.
I know, it's weird.
Tokyo 2020.
Throws me off.
So the 2020 season, technically, it's in 2021. Your first team All-American again. The team goes 11-4-1, and you make it to the NCAA tournament again. Lost to Virginia. I know that was a bummer for you guys. Individually, getting to the tournament is hard, but yeah, you guys I know wanted to advance. First team All-American. You finished second in the Top Drawer Soccer's Top 100. So you were fifth and then second. You have a 9-game scoring streak during the year that tied a BYU record with Shauna Robach, who put up like hat tricks on the regular against New Mexico and Wyoming if they had a soccer team. What was that 9-game scoring streak like? Because that's an incredible run.
Yeah, that was fun. And coming into the 2020 or 2021 season, there were a lot of question marks in the outside, world. I don't think for me or for us, I had a lot of questions because I knew what we were looking like in practice, and I was really confident in us.
The defensive line's gone. Elise Flake's gone. Like,
exactly.
What's going to happen? No different goal.
Yeah, like what are you going to do without Elise? Who's going to score your goals? Stuff like that.
You're like, I'm right here.
I know. I'm like,
Cameron's right there.
Exactly. Yeah, we have people. But so anyways, I was just going to say, like, I was very confident going into that season still, and I just always wanted to make sure, like, I'm building off of what I just did. 2019 was great, but, like, there's still more. I'm not going to let that be the highlight of my career and kind of taper off now. Like, I want to build on that, and that was my goal. And I knew with losing Elise, I mean, I knew other people would step up, but I knew there was going to be more, responsibility on my end to score goals because it's always a priority to score goals, but I was kind of more of like a playmaker, and so I was like, I need to take that upon myself to make sure we're on the board every game. And so that was kind of my goal and priority going into that season, and I knew I had scored. Like, the first couple games I wasn't finishing, but we were winning, so I wasn't nervous, that's what matters. And then I scored, like, I think my first goal of the season was the third game, and I scored every game from there on out. For the streak at least. And I knew I was scoring and I knew we were winning, but I didn't know there was a streak, first of all, that had previously been set and that I was like close to. I had no idea. And then I saw, it was actually on Twitter that I saw it, like if Mikayla, or... Was it Greg? Yeah, it might have been Greg that initially said it.
He's all over it.
Yeah, and Greg's all over the stats, But yeah, it was Greg because we were going into playing Santa Clara at Santa Clara. And he said...
Massive game.
Yep, huge game.
We'll talk about Santa Clara in a second.
Yeah, well, yeah. And his tweet is like, if Mikayla Colohan scores this game, she'll tie the all-time game scoring streak record, whatever it's called.
Greg, the word is win.
Yeah.
Come on.
But I'm like, oh, wow, I didn't know that.
You're like, I better score today.
Yeah, I'm like,
I wasn't going to, but now I will.
Yeah, now it's my focus.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went into that game knowing that, and that's the first time I had heard of it. And then I scored that game, and Greg interviewed me after and said, "You just tied the scoring record. How do you feel?" And I was like, "Wow, that's awesome. You know, I'm really happy." And he's like, "You have the chance to score or to beat it the next game." And I didn't beat it because I didn't score.
You respected Shauna so much that you chose not to.
Yeah, I'm like, maybe I'll let her keep that title right now.
You're like, it wasn't enough that Shauna was an Olympian.
Yeah.
But bobsled, I think.
I know,
right?
yeah. We just were talking about that the other day.
No,
so
she's one of the GOATs in athletics BYU.
so awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so you end up being named a 2-time first-team All-American, first player in program history. Other first-teamers, at least once, Lindsay Lisenby Cutshaw, and I kind of did the NSCAA or the United Soccer, kind of those two. I didn't really do, like, randos out there. Soccer Buzz, like 10 years ago. I don't know.
No, those are the ones that matter.
Lindsay Lisenby Cutshaw, Ashley Hatch, Marion Hendershot McCrary, and Ashley Kramer-Rose. That's pretty good company.
Yeah.
Like, in the history of BYU soccer, those are some of the greats, right?
Those are the names that you hear about all
Those are the
up.
banners on the Smith Fieldhouse.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
It's a special group. Yeah. What are you most proud of in your career?
I would say it's a tough question.
That's what I bring here.
Yeah, you're testing me. I remember though coming to a couple games growing up at BYU and seeing those banners on the wall, and my cousin is one of them. I don't know if she was a second or third team All-American, but All-American nonetheless. And I was like, I want to be on that wall. I want to come to BYU, and I want to be not just a player, not just an average, contributor, but I want to be the best, and I want to be an All-American. So I would say that was my biggest accomplishment and something that I'm the most proud of. So.
Do they have a banner up right now of you while you're playing?
Yeah.
Nice. Is that weird? Is that awesome? Is that validating?
Yeah, validating. Okay. Yeah.
Outside of Studio B, we have different sports pictures up, but it's not of Spencer and I. One is soccer, but it's an unnamed player, balls going through their legs.
Yeah.
We're like, I'm always thinking like, oh, that'd be nice if we could have a banner up,
yeah,
if you will.
You guys deserve
so
that.
So we're not good enough. You are, definitely.
You're definitely
that's
good
what
enough.
I'm saying.
I'll have to talk to some people after this and get a banner of you guys.
Yes. Okay, so obviously in everyone's life, they have to overcome something to get to where they are. And that could be a variety of places, things, whatever. What have you overcome to be in this position?
Yeah, like you said, everyone overcomes things and has different challenges in life. I consider myself very lucky. I feel like I've had a lot of different opportunities. I've been fortunate in many ways. I don't feel like I've had super difficult struggles like I've heard of other athletes and other stories that people have gone through. And so, like I said, I count myself very lucky and count my blessings for that, and I'm very thankful for it. With that said, though, I think everybody has their stuff. Everybody has challenges, and I think something that I probably have struggled with the most, which that sounds even more harsh than it is because I don't feel like I've struggled a ton with it, but is kind of balancing like what I want most in life. Because soccer's been like the biggest part of my life, especially once you get to college and you're playing a D1 sport, like it's pretty much your life, and I love it. I think most athletes probably love it, but it does get hard. And sometimes I'm like, I love soccer, but soccer's not like all I am. Soccer's not all that I want to be. And so I've tried to balance that by making sure that I give myself other things that I'm working towards or other challenges, or if it's school, thinking post-soccer, soccer, and my career afterwards, what I want to do. And just because, like I said, I want to be more than that. I want to reach people in other ways than being a soccer player and hopefully have an impact in more ways than that, And so for me, I've struggled in a sense to to always make sure that I'm doing that, because sometimes I'll get wrapped up in, like, I go to sleep, I wake up, I eat breakfast, I go to class, I go to soccer for the rest of the day, I go to treatments, ice, whatever it is, I go home, repeat, And so sometimes it becomes like, wow, am I just a soccer player? Is that all that I am? And I feel like lately that's kind of almost been more people have talked about that or brought light to that as an athlete. And in athletics in general, people have kind of related to that. And so sometimes, like I said, it can get hard. It can be challenging to not let it overtake you, because I think every athlete is more than their sport and has a bigger story than that. Mm-hmm.
It just happens to be what you're doing now.
But yeah.
Why you're here at this time doing this thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Simone Biles in the Olympics shed a lot of light on kind of the mental health aspect of that, which this kind of ties into that. Tell us more about like that angle, which has emerged like the last 10 or 20 years of, okay, there's the physical side, but there's also the mental side. Dr. Craig Manning works with all the teams at BYU. Sort of what angle that plays in being an athlete nowadays. That's super important because it affects you on the field, but like a ton off it, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think like you got to take care of your mental health, and sometimes that has a stigma. So I try to stay away from saying mental health, but it is what it is. It's mental health.
A lot of people are saying mental health is health.
Yeah.
Like it's just health.
Yeah. You got to take care of that in order to be successful in your sport. So I think it's great when there's light brought to that. I hope that it doesn't ever get overused in a sense or become cliche, because it shouldn't be, because it is really important and everyone needs to make it a priority. But like you said, there's Dr. Craig Manning, there's Tom Golightly. We have all these resources here that help us be confident, healthy, all of that off the field so that we can be successful on the field. And it's just amazing to see all the resources that we all have and are given, because at the end of the day, everyone just wants to see us succeed. And it's really cool to see that you have this whole team behind you helping you be your best. And it's just fun to be a part of, like me and my team and the rest of the BYU student athletes are the ones performing, but you don't see enough of what happens behind the scenes and all the people that have contributed to all our success, because they're just as important and should be acknowledged just as much as we as the ones that are actually on the field. Trainers,
strength and conditioning, obviously the coaches, mental health, administrators, academics. Like there's a ton.
So much.
It's crazy. Yeah, there's always, an army. It takes a village to raise a kid. Does that mental part, does that manifest itself in a soccer game the most in a penalty kick? Because you're by yourself. Yeah. And you take a lot of the penalties, right, for BYU? Mm-hmm. What's that moment like? Because we watched Euro 2020, and like Italy had to win back-to-back games to win the Euros in penalties. Yeah. My guy Jorginho was money, except he actually missed in the final, but they still won.
Yeah, luckily.
So what's that like for you in that moment, mentally?
It is, PKs, there's a lot of things that I would say are like 90% mental. But PKs for sure, because they say, and this, it might be different for men because the keepers cover so much more of the goal on the men's side. They say, though, like you have an 80% chance of scoring, even though I don't think 80% of penalty kicks are scored, because that seems pretty high.
Do you think it's lower?
I would say it's lower, but they say you have an 80% chance of scoring.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yeah, and so that kind of goes to show, like, if you pick your spot and you hit it, you'll score. But it's not like the physical aspect of picking your spot and hitting it. It's like mentally being strong enough to believe, like, if I don't know, just talking yourself through it.
Can you complicate it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is it a simple thing? Because it doesn't seem simple.
You can definitely complicate it. I think it should be simple. The more you can simplify it, the better off you'll be, because, like you said, you're all alone. You're staring at the keeper. Everyone's focused on you, and you just got to be confident in that moment. You just got to pick your spot and hit it.
Okay, tell me about this team this year. What are you guys going to do? How's this team looking?
This team's exciting. I'm super pumped. I think you got a little taste of it in the spring because with it being a weird year, we almost returned everyone. We lost Josie Jelilich now, Gwynn, and Natalie Clark. So those are the two that we're missing, but we pretty much have the exact same team as we did in the spring, which is exciting because that doesn't typically happen. And it's the first time for me, too, that we don't come into a new season with losing a whole class, right? So it's super exciting because I'm like, wow, we were able to build almost a full season together, and now we're going into the real season all together still. You know, we'll have the same lineup pretty much. We'll have the same people contributing and playing significant minutes. So I'm so pumped, and just getting everything started is super exciting. The beginning of the year is just so much fun, and playing before school started, so you're just all focused on soccer and all kind of together is awesome. And
that'll carry over for you.
Yeah, for sure. That's the rest of the semester for me, but it's just awesome. And I think the sky's the limit for this team, and I think, if anything, it's super evident seeing Santa Clara win it all, how realistic that is for us, and how, you know, our potential really is a national championship. And I fully believe that. I think a lot of people might say that, but I fully believe that. And watching Santa Clara win it after we beat them last year is just...
Yep, you split the regular season.
Yep, it just fuels my fire, and I think gives all of us a little bit of a, you know, chip on our shoulder to work towards and to play for.
They're the rival in the league right now.
Yeah.
Kelsey Turnbow was the only player listed above you.
Yep. And she's returning as well. She's actually in my same situation. She got drafted.
Who picked her?
The Chicago Red Stars. I think she got picked 18th overall.
So similar situation.
Very similar, yeah.
Okay.
She probably would have been picked earlier if she didn't say she was returning for the fall.
How long are your rights with that team, by the way?
A year.
A year.
So after 2022's draft.
Will that be in January again?
Yeah, it'll be in January. My rights will be released, but it's after the draft. Released if they don't sign me. So gotcha. Orlando, yeah, and unless something big changes, they told me that they don't want to release me. So
you wouldn't go back into the draft.
Yeah, I can't.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I'm assuming I'll be there.
Larry Bird was drafted by the Celtics like a year. He played his last year at Indiana State. Similar thing. Mm-hmm. NBA used to be a similar deal.
Yeah, wow, I didn't know that.
So they held on to him for like a year and a half.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was different.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, the season's going to be super fun, and like you said, it's like a very similar team that was really good. And remind me, were you guys were separated by one seed line from Santa Clara? Like one of you was 11, the other was 12 or something, right?
Yes.
So yes, like you were right.
We were 12. They were 11. Yep, I think that's
the same seeding. Like you can do it, right?
We had such similar paths. Yep.
And this program, the only thing it's really missing is a Final Four. Like this program has done everything else, and it's been incredible. So, hey, maybe this is the year.
This is the year, I think.
Let's go.
Yep, I told the team, I'm like, we got to do it. Like, this is my last year. We got to take it home. And more importantly, like, something all of us want, I think, is like, we want to do it for Jen. Like, that's Jen's dream.
Oh,
get to the Final Four. Yeah.
Amen. She has everything, too, in this world.
I know.
Except that.
I know.
So, yeah.
We're all fighting for it together.
One more, baby! Yeah, it'll be a really fun year. And we're going to have a ton of these games on BYUtv and the BYUtv app. So I know I'm calling some, Spencer's calling some, so I can't wait.
Awesome.
Mikayla, thanks for taking a chunk of your time, in the middle of preseason here to chat and kind of tell your story. It's great to get to know you better.
Of course. Thanks for having me. It was fun.
That'll do it for us. Listen to previous episodes on the BYU Radio app or where podcasts are found. For Mikayla Colohan, producers Tanner Graff and Trent Reimschussel, I'm Jarom Jordan. You've just listened to Deep Blue on BYU Radio.